You can't let people shake you because that in itself is the whole purpose. They want to see that you are weakened by whatever it may be. No, stand firm and be able to deal with it because you know yourself. And that's the confidence. And keyword confidence, not arrogant, because confidence comes with, all right, humbleness, where arrogance comes with nothing but you.
Leading Ain't Easy, the show that cuts through the noise and gets real about leadership. I'm Ryan Calkins, Marine Corps veteran and founder of Reframe and Rise, and I'm here with my good friend and fellow leader, Ernie Epley, founder of Bus Pro Network, as we unpack the highs, lows, and hard-earned lessons of what it actually takes to lead with character in today's world. It's not another highlight reel or fluffy leadership pep talk. We're talking about the stuff most people don't, the doubt, the pressure, the people problems, the pivots, and the personal growth that it demands. Because the truth is, leadership looks good on paper, but in real life, leading ain't easy. Hi, welcome back to Leading Ain't Easy. Today we have our first guest, which we are really excited about, John Moore. We are exploring what it really means to lead as yourself. So today's topic is lead as yourself. So it's things that are why it's difficult to kind of show up with authenticity in leadership and how doing so can change everything for you. The heart of the episode is really about that authenticity and leading in a way that's true to who you are and not what others expect you to be. So I really just want to take a moment and say with today's topic, the first person that came to mind for me was John. We met through a volunteer organization for veterans on mentorship and kind of career building, and we just bonded over a passion for coaching and service to others. And this topic, I wrote a newsletter a few weeks back about action figures in my office, and John was the inspiration for that writing and the first person that I thought about when just leading as your authentic self. So I want to take a moment and give you the floor. Just kind of, if you can give us a background on kind of your leadership to date, where you do now and where you're headed.
Thank you, and thank you for inviting me to Leading Ain't Easy because it isn't. As you guys know, my name is John Moore, and I have been in leadership for over 20 years. I started off as a staff member, if you will, and really worked my way up. I started off in the realm of training, if you will. And in that, I always had a vision of what I thought management could be, right? And as I was being developed to be a manager, I wanted to be different of what I saw. I wanted to be unique. I wanted to bring a different type of approach to it. I wanted to bring more of a human approach to it, to be honest with you guys. I wanted to bring empathy and concern. And I know this word sounds crazy in corporate, love to your staff, right? And loving on your staff. And really, that was my whole foundation. That's what made me different than anything else that I saw, because anyone else that came up in the industry of corporate was that matter of factness, that coldness. I'm not saying that was everyone, but that was the majority. And to stay focused that they were staff and you were leadership. And I wanted to build relationships. I wanted to have my staff to be trusting in me as I could be also trusting in them. And honestly, it worked until it didn't work, right? And we find that some people aren't able to be loved on in corporate America or in different work environments because they have been so prone to, this is how my life has been in corporate. So, why are you trying to do something different? I never changed it until actually I came out of corporate and I was able to see it from the outside in. My whole time and strategy of corporate was from a trainer to a training manager, from a training manager, AVP over training, from an AVP over training to then a director over training. So I've been over training for adults for years. That's my background. But when I came out of it to then go into coaching, which I'm doing now, being a life coach, it was so awesome to look at it from the outside in and work with people who are in leadership and they're struggling or they're trying to get back into leadership and coach them and develop them into it. But being able to see it from the outside, you can see how you were so different than anybody else, right? And although it hurts you to, hurt your heart, hurt your spirit that you can't love on people, not just call them staff, but people, but also at the same time, you can't be yourself. So you find your balance. You find your balance. That was my closing, was finding the balance between being able to love on people, but then also create an environment that was productive and that allowed for us to do the things that we need to do, which is to work and work in an environment that, needed us to do it.
What you said there really struck a note with me because uh, going up through the I guess the career and the environment, I never really saw myself in leadership, but once that sort of kind of morphed into what my career was going, I align with your thinking from the very beginning. And I'm curious, what was your motivation to lead differently, to lead with empathy, to lead with building relationships? And I'll be honest, this is the first time I've heard love in the word in this sense, to lead with that. So I'm very curious to hear your thoughts on that and what the motivating factor was, because I certainly have mine, but love to hear from you.
No, it's an excellent question, and thank you for asking it. It was the experience that I was having from a leader, right? Not being kind, not being thoughtful. So what I am is I'm an observer. I will sit back and I will watch, and I'm watching with intention, right? And so with the intention that I'm gonna be in that spot one day, not even being arrogant, but just saying whenever I become that, I'm gonna do it differently, right? And so as I watched leadership that I was a part of, or people that managed me rather, I just saw them lead with callousness and dictatorships and I'm the big one and you're the little ones, and I just didn't believe in that, at all. I just didn't believe in that because I just didn't believe that that concept worked to get people to work for you and work with you, right? I would always hear the background conversations. I would always hear all of the different things behind the scenes where the staff was disgruntled because this, that, or the other. And so in my mind, in my spirit, it said, I want to be different and I want to lead differently, to be honest with you, and lead with a loving heart. Because you still can get things done, and Brian can attest to this. You can still get things done by respecting and loving on people because there's an adage to what you stated that is not normal. Think about it, not normal, and saying not normal meaning that it's not, usual for it to happen. It should be normalized, and honestly, I'll close on this. I always would say I lead like in the '80s, right? In the '80s, a manager knew, all of the kids. The manager knew when they got married and when someone went to college and when they had another baby. They knew almost every step of their employee's family, right? They were connected. It had that, that bind that connected them, and honestly, the '90s changed that, 2000s changed that. Seriously, the whole movement changed, so it's less of relationship, more of productivity, less of knowing family, knowing what's going on, and which is a whole purpose and plot. Because if I know you more, I can't lead you more. Think about it. If I'm so engrossed in your family, then how am I gonna actually do the hard stuff?
Mm.
And so that shift happened, and it happened in the late '90s, and it happened in 2000s. I have not seen it in the 2000s at all, where people were so engrossed in the family. It's just been production, production, production.
So is that kind of a oh, sorry.
Amazon is a good example of that too. When you think about that warehouse. I'm sorry, go ahead, Brian.
I was just is that kind of attributed to the way that I guess the job culture and landscape has kind of shifted where people don't stay at companies for prolonged periods of time where you do bond with people, you do get to know their family, but when we shift to a time where, every 3 years somebody's hopping, it's like, well, why am I going to build this strong relationship with somebody that's going to be gone tomorrow?
But then to that point, that's because of the leadership in some cases too, or the environment. Because if you think about '80s and '90s, people were in their jobs for 20, 30, years.
Mhm.
Now in the 2000s, 5 years here, 3 years here, a year here, going to a startup here. There's less of the loyalty and less of the longevity than it's ever been. And a lot of that has been translated from the higher ups, looking at people, making people retire before their time, right? Making them feel like, okay, you're getting older. Ageism has also done that, a lot too. So think about all of the things that correspond with that change. So it's not only the cultural work environment, but it's the individual, it's how the leadership leads, it's how the top is leading downward. So you have a lot of factors in there that, to your point, why should I build relationships? I'm not going to be here long. But even coming in with that adage is so cynical, right? Like, why not come in and wanna be friends and, we're working on a line somewhere in Amazon that we don't have good relationships. Why not? Well, a lot of them are already coming in with a plan, and that's because they had an experience before, so they're like, "I'm just gonna be here for 6 months and I'm out." They already come in with a plan, where back in the '80s and the early '90s, the plan was longevity. I wanna be here forever. I wanna take my kids are gonna go through college here. Think about it, in Michigan, you had generations that worked in those plants.
Yeah. Wow.
The father, the son, and the grandson, this was, no other way. This is how it was gonna be. That's no more. No
This is
more.
true.
And so when you have those types of changes, it changes culturally. Oh my goodness, look at how it changes dynamically, demographically.
Yeah. So I guess my follow up to that would be, as a leader in this space that we find ourselves in 2025, what are some of the things that we can do to sort of build that, go back to the environment you were talking about in the 80s and 90s, because I'm very very interested in this, as someone who is leading a department that has had a bit of turnover, and wanting to build that more friendly environment, that more family approach. What are some of the building blocks, the very foundation of building an environment like that in your experience?
The foundation was the people, and being honest with you. The foundation was people. The foundation was the cultural people at that time. You had people that even in that 80, 90 time frame, and I remember very vividly, that may not have liked you culturally, they may not like you for the color of your skin, but they knew we had a united front, right? And that was, we had to get work done. That's changed. The whole approach to work has changed. So even when you say, well, John, how do we get it? The people have changed. And the people have changed because the institutions, the work environments have changed, right? So when something changed from a higher up, we just talked about this today, Ryan and I, when something changes from the top, it affects, and it affects culturally, and it
Absolutely.
goes through. So now you have, once it goes through to your staff, where you have people talking about, "Oh, no, you don't wanna work there." Nah, and then it keeps on going, and it gets worse and worse. It's gonna be a hard change, and I'm being honest with you from my observation standpoint, and I do career, coaching for people, so I'm always into working with folks and working with corporations and seeing how I can get people placed, that it has changed so much that I don't know if we're gonna get back to that. You may have some mom and pop shops, to be honest with you, that can, be able to blend and find those relationships, and there may be some that I'm not aware of. But I know that the people have changed because they've been burnt. Think about it. They've been burnt. They work more hours and not getting anything on the back end, right? They have worked all year long thinking they're gonna get Christmas bonuses. They don't get Christmas bonuses. They worked all year long and they got a raise that was like minimal, that did nothing. So therefore, what do? We lose that form of investment, guys. Once we lose that form of investment, that we're giving our full dedication, that was what was the '80s, the '70s, the '90s, was investing in the bigger. When those plants were producing those Cadillacs and those Fords and all of that, it was for them to have pride in the product in which they developed. Now, you can get a Ford and that sucker is on the road, on the side of the road, before you even know it, because it's the belief in that product is no longer. You see what I'm saying? So it's a twofold, where the leadership has changed as well as the people have changed. And the people have changed because how the leadership is leading. And the leadership does not believe in what you and I are, and Ryan are talking about, which is, impacting and investing and loving on your staff and loving on the whole cohort system, right? They're thinking about, how can I get more for less? which is an old Six Sigma technique, right? How can I get more for less? How can I get rid of? I remember I was sitting with my CEO years ago, and he says, I need to get rid of $70,000. And that meant I need y'all to fire some people. And we had to all sit down and think about how we're going to get rid of folks. And we know this is around Christmas. How are we going to lay off, people that we can get rid of 70,000 or 170,000 or $1 million worth of salary? Think about what that does to us as an individual. You don't even call them by name. You don't even give them a name. I need to get rid of a number. I'm speaking from experience,
Yeah.
being in that boardroom. So
Yeah, well,
so to get back to your question, that's a hard one to answer because the world has changed so drastically.
and just, I know I don't want to stray too far from our topic, but what I've had very real experience with that very recently, of with my place of employment, where we have cuts and our 85% of our overall budget goes to people, and so when we have to cut an X number of dollars, the most, you start having those hard conversations. And for me at my place of employment, dealing with the executive level leadership, it almost feels, it's like a punch to the gut. And no, and I've said this to the folks I'm leading, and it didn't really kind of land, because they're already aware of, what's going on, what the cuts are happening, and they're like, oh yeah, you're real sad, you're keeping your job, and so kind of like trying to communicate that out, saying, look, no one wants to do this, and myself included. This sucks, man, because like, we're, again, dealing with the executive staff, they're seeing names on a sheet of paper. I'm seeing, that's John. I love John. He loves to go fishing. I know his kid, and I'm seeing Sally. Sally just is going through a divorce, and that poor thing, the last thing she needs is to hear she's losing her job. So, and then kind of the dichotomy of that, from seeing just other directors in the room, like, all right, yeah, John and Sally, they got to go. All right, what's next? What's for lunch? And to see that that is the norm, and folks like us who lead like this, I don't know, it just, when you said that, I'm like, God, yeah, I just went through that, and it sucks so bad for me. And while others, it just was like, nah, it's business as usual. I'm wondering how we can remain authentic to ourselves as individuals, and keep that sense of empathy, and keep our humanity. Like, I don't know if it's that desperate to call it humanity, but
It
what
is.
are some tips we can give folks that are aspiring leaders, or leaders right now, to remain in that space, to stay human?
And that's a very good point. And one of the things that you must stay is in remembrance of is what if that was you? Right? Even if you have to and I had to lay off people and things like that as well. It's not something that we celebrate. Um, but when you have to do it, you do it with empathy and sympathy and grace. You don't do it in celebratory. You don't do it in which I've seen. You don't do it in ways in which it is not hitting Sally or John. You just found out Sally had cancer, was diagnosed, and now she's gonna have to go through radiation or chemo, right? And now she's gonna lose her job. That's real. That happens, right? So I think that is staying in remembrance of your humanity and how you would want to be treated is so important. But I want to also be real that executive leadership is always going to direct you to lead with that firmness as well, and that lack of. So you're going to have to show one face to them and another face to your staff, because if you show the same face and you show your staff to them, they're going to say you're not ready for leadership. They're gonna say you're not prepared to do the things that you need to do. I was watching this, series, and one of the things that the big time lawyer said is, "Are you ready to bleed?" Sometimes people are so hardcore in corporate America that and my clients just told me about, they're getting ready to cut and do all these crazy things, and now he has to display that to his people. It's hard. So the key that I would say to answer your question is you have to remember if this was me, how would I want it done for me? And that's what I lead with. And I'm not lying. I lead with I would want to be respected. I want someone to have a sense of empathy, someone to show a sense of caring, someone that's going to, at least display this in a way that they are showing that it bothers them to do it, where that's not oftenly done.
So we're talking about leading with empathy and a lot that comes with it. And I think for me, like in my career, even in the military and after, you have a lot of people that come in and then they bark orders, and people do it because of who the person is, And early in my career, I tried to emulate that because it's all I knew, and it just didn't feel right. And people would do it, but it was just, I don't know, it was a different feeling for me. Like I hated it when I was on the receiving end of it, and I didn't feel good about it when I was, the one dishing it. And I had to alter my own approach, like you said, to do what how you would want to be taught. But it kind of went beyond that to where there's also, a perception that people have of what a leader is. Like beyond the empathy piece, it's like, oh, this person should show up in a suit and tie, or heaven forbid, they have things that they enjoy behind them, in a background,
Mhm.
or just all of these things to where it gets farther and farther away from who you are authentically. And the more leadership experience I had, the more comfortable I got being myself, even if it's, what people above me expected me to be. I had to lead the way that I am and who I am and show up regardless of the consequences. And one time at Waste Management, I had a driver. So as Ernie knows, in an operations business where you have drivers, there's a lot of overtime. When you have open routes, it's a lot of forced overtime. And there was a guy that he just was beat and was starting to get, defensive. He didn't want to go back out. And I kind of stepped in. I said, tell you what, arm wrestle me, and you can go home if you win, And this guy's Ernie size. So I knew I wasn't going to win. He's like, are you serious? I go, yeah, I'm serious. So I go, dude, you're not even going to take your backpack off? He's like, no, this will be quick. So, you know, I arm wrestle. He snaps my arm off, and I'm like, all right, dude, I'll see you tomorrow. He's like, you're serious? I can go. I'm like, I'm serious. And I knew that there were consequences because it's a union environment. And now, heaven forbid you let somebody have something. But you know what? Like, I got talked to. I'm like, I understand. The guy came in the next day. He's like, hey, man, I really appreciate that. Anything you need today, I got you. And it's things like that where when you're a real human,
Huh?
and sometimes, rules are great, but if you're going to put somebody out there in an unsafe condition where they're already exhausted in a massive vehicle that can lead to other things, including, death for himself or somebody in the public,
Yes.
I'll take that every day. Fine. Talk to me. But now this guy's got my respect. I've
Mhm.
got his respect. We have a new working relationship, and he wasn't even a direct report of mine, So it's just about relationship building and understanding to be yourself is how you're going to be the most effective leader. And I guess for both of you, did you have a moment where you had any fears about being yourself and being able to step into it and just run with it? It's like, I can't be this person or this type of person. Like, I have to lead as who I am, and this is what I'm going to do going forward.
You
I'll
wanna
let you
go,
start.
Ernie? Okay.
Hey,
As you were saying that, immediately I thought about there were times where, I was worried. One thing I didn't do, I never took someone else's leadership and copied that to be my own because I'm not really good at that. One thing that I appreciated was the industry that I was in, that it allows for you to be unique and creative, which is in adult learning and training, right? That you don't have to be so rigid, right? You can have the flexibility, you can do those things and not be so to the point where you can't be yourself. That's what I love about training. I'll give you a good example. And I think I told this to Ryan. How I started to build relationships when I went to new companies was my environment, my office. My office environment was so welcoming. I mean, it had everything plus more in my office environment that people wanted to come in and say, "Who are you?" Because we've never seen anybody do this. And I did it with a purpose. Not only because I love superheroes, but also I knew that it was going to engage people to question and ask and get to know. And that was going to be my time to sell myself on them. Right. And to not get caught up in, okay, John, you're the leader, so you can't do this and you can't do that. No, I knew I had to get buy-in from everybody. I had to get buy-in. I had to sell them on, me. And that was my approach, was really selling them on me. And if I could create an environment that I can sell them on, that they were bringing their children to me. Oh, I have to bring my son. Can I come? And literally will bringing their son to do tours of my office. I sold you. I got you. And then I can train you well, that you enjoyed the training that we did. Oh my goodness, that was just an icing on the cake. So when going back to your question, it was just really about not trying to carbon copy someone else, going into an environment that you can be yourself, right? And in training, you can. You're not going to always have that ability. But what you have to do is you have to do your time first before you start bringing in those likenesses of yourself. Does that make sense? You got to do your time. Don't expect you come in and you're just going to throw yourself on everybody and they're going to have to accept you. That's a no-no. You have to learn to plan and figure out where do you fit in, right? And when you find where you fit in, you take advantage of that and you rock and roll with it. Uh-huh. Everything. Mhm. Mhm. No, you're fine. Mhm. And can I come on to that, or you Brian, you have something?
Oh, go ahead.
No, it makes me think about, when I used to do leadership training, that I would customize it in a way that had a little bit of this and had a little bit of that, right? So that it wasn't so geared to a one-way directive, if that makes sense. That is my way or the highway. It was more of giving them what I would think leadership should be, and also what we know needs leadership needs to be. And what I found was, to your point, you take out the nuggets that apply, you're going to find something if you don't have it so stringent, one directional, one dimensional. You have to have it to where it has a broad view. It's like when I train, I don't just train from a PowerPoint. I may train from lecture. I may train from PowerPoint. I may also train from an interaction. You have to bring multiple modalities, right, to leadership. Because if you only have one way, to your point, you're gonna have people who are gonna push back because they don't see an association. They don't see themselves in that kind of leadership. And so what we have to do is we have to be able to have a diverse way, a different way of doing leadership, but making it be successful, and also successful for the business, because which is our foundation, but also successful for how you implement that leadership, which is to the staff, right? And I think that's important as well.
So we lead with empathy and love, like we talked about. We make it a friendly environment, and obviously we all have a sense of humor that transcends professional, personal. Like we try to make our work environments as homely as possible. And I guess in my career, I've heard it a lot. But have either of you kind of had the tone it down or act more professional kind of piece from others or higher ups?
Aaron, you wanna hit that one? Ernest Rubber? Uh, mm, mm. 100% agree if I can chime in. Honestly, and I'm being very honest because I was thinking while Ernest was talking, and when you asked the question, Ryan, and I'm being honest, no BS. I have never had anyone to say, tone it down, take the toys out of the office. And let me tell you why, guys. It's because I've always brought balance. Honestly, I never did too much of one thing, and I never did too much of the other thing, and I've always, always, always been very centric about find your place, and making my own, right? Today, everyone wants you to accept them. I don't mind being able to find my way in because it makes it more authentic because I've done the work. Get you to respect me, to get you to like me, to figure out things, right? Except I don't want you to just you gotta like John because I'm John. I'm African American, or I wear glasses, or I have locks, so you gotta like who I am. No, I have to earn that. You see? And I believe in that earning because that's my whole sales is that whole buy-in to me. So it's been balanced, to be honest with you. I think when Ryan first met me, I wore ties and things like that because I want people to know I am a professional. That's me. That's my thing. And because I've been doing this for so long and so many obstacles have been in my way because of the color of my skin that I knew how to find my way. So if I gotta show you that this is how I come old school and I have the tie and so forth, which I love anyway, I'm down for that. But I'm also gonna show you that I'm a Marvel and DC fan. I'm also gonna show you that when I teach you, I'm gonna make you accountable to learn and you're gonna get something out of it, right? And I also joke, I also love having a good time, but I also make sure that you're getting something out of it because of course we don't want to be pegged with, oh, he's really fun. I mean, I would hear the same thing too. Oh, John is really, really cool. But I want you to be that I'm John is really, really cool because you learned something with me. And that's me um redefining that, right? And not letting them define it. I want to redefine that. Yes, I am cool, but I want to make sure you're learning. So that accountability component is really, really there for me as well. Does that make sense, guys?
It does. Did you ever so the way you describe it, it sounds like you just kind of inherently had that skill set to just step in and not like in the sense of a chameleon to where you're, bullshitting to blend in, but just kind of had that ease of finding your way. I mean, was there ever a time to where you went to lead a certain way? You're like, oh, okay, well, maybe I should change my approach, and that kind of set the trajectory for the rest of your career and where you went, or was it just kind of always there for you?
Only challenge that I had was with the leadership, to be honest with you, on how they might have a personal feel about John. But about how I've done it, how did I approach it, how did the staff take it, how did getting the buy-in, that was never a problem. And I don't say this arrogantly. I say this because the method to the madness and the key to it is knowing oneself and having confidence in oneself and having the ability to navigate waters. And I'm sorry, Ryan, but to your point, you got to bullshit sometimes to get through. All right. Because everything you're not going to have a playbook for. There's going to be things put in front of you that you're going to have to bullshit your way on. And then if you're really, really good, it won't be for long because you'll grasp it, you'll figure it out, and you'll be ready to rock and roll and throw it back out. So you may initially come in with the BS, but you'll get it good enough that you got it. And so the key to it is the confidence and knowing oneself. Let me break that down for you real quick. And I'll start with the knowing oneself. The knowing oneself is so important because you have to know your capacity. What can I do and what can't I do? Right? You got to know who you are and you got to know how big you are or how little you are. You got to know that first within oneself. And that's something that we all don't do. And it took me time. It really, really took me time. It took I'm getting personal here, but it took a lot of people teasing me when I was younger, calling me the ugly words, the faggot, are you gay, and all this good stuff that I had to start going into oneself and figuring out who am I? What am I? What am I about? Right? And who am I going to portray to the outer? And once you get to that point in your life where you start to question and identifying yourself and all those things internally, now you've figured out who you are and what you're about, what you're worth, right? And now you're hopefully getting your career where you're writing your own checks because you know you're worth it. right? That somebody's not telling you, I'm going to give you pennies. You're saying, no, this is what I need because this is what I bring and this is what I can do in 90 days and know you can do it, right? Got to know oneself. And then the second one is being able to be confident, not letting nobody shake you. And I mean, I've been shooken like a tree, but you can't let people shake you because that in itself is the whole purpose. They want to see that you are weakened by whatever it may be. No, stand firm and be able to deal with it because you know yourself. And that's the confidence. And keyword confidence, not arrogant, because confidence comes with, all right, humbleness, where arrogance comes with nothing but you.
Well,
That's also a good one as well, because you have to understand, why am I coming into leadership? Am I coming into leadership for my own ego, or I'm coming into leadership for change? Think about that. Am I coming in to make and build myself because I don't know who I am? I have yet to identify who I am, or am I coming to bring in change? Okay, because the arrogance is about you. And so that's about your, building yourself up, making you feel good, making you feel like I got it, right? That's where we all go wrong. It's about, I want to take on leadership because I want to implement change. I worked for an institution for a long time, or I've been brought onto an institution that says we need someone that's going to shake it up a bit. You're coming in with purpose, right? Not your own internal purpose. See, when you come in and you're being a real leader, your realness and your real leadership is what shines, not your arrogance. And if your arrogance comes first and you're led by that, you're not going to succeed. And people are going to see right through that. So the goal is that one, everybody's not a leader. That's number one. Let's all quantify that. Everyone is not a leader. Okay. Um, and everyone does not have leadership skills or leadership abilities, and that's okay. That's why the world is made so universally. So we have people who lead and we have people that follow. No problem with that, right? But you cannot lead if it's only for your behalf. If you're leading for the people, that's a whole different situation. When I lead for the people, I lead for the company, be honest with you. And you may say, but you got to get something out of it. I do get something out of it. My passion. I'm passionate about leading. I love to see people explore things they've never explored before. I love to see people grow. You see, all of that is the humbleness of it. You never heard me say, I love to hear the accolades when they come back telling me how good I was and all. That's not what I'm in for. No. So again, with the confidence component and the being arrogant, the lines are very, very thin, but also they're very, very wide as well, because it depends on what you're coming into leadership for. And it's just that simple.
speaking of the confidence piece and how much it takes to be a leader, there's also different areas of confidence. You have confidence in yourself and your ability to lead and the drive to make change, as you said,
Mhm.
which I've always had. Like, there's a desire to make change, to make things better for the people that I work with more than myself. but then there's also times where there's a lack of confidence in the ability to execute whatever that change is. So you can have like the struggle between being confident to do it and push through and have, the respect to peers and everything as a leader, and then be completely intimidated and that confidence goes right out the window. It's like, how do I effectively get this done and do the things that I'm pushing to drive and do?
And to be honest, go ahead. No, no, go for it. Well, to your statement, Ryan, when you have those situations where you're coming across a challenge, right? To me, um, I like for something to challenge me where I haven't. Yes, it's gonna freak me out. Yes, it's like, oh, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? But I like for it to challenge me in the sense to say, "See, you can do this too. See, you can do this too." Now, will it make me feel clammy hand and I'm feeling some kind of way? Oh, absolutely, it could. But at the same time, I am challenging myself to be available to do something different than I have not done before. And that's something that we have to be very welcoming because everything is not going to be what we know and what we're comfortable with. Uh-huh. I agree. 100%. I agree.
Are there any other lessons for people that are listening, just maybe early in their career or struggling with kind of authenticity and doing more to lead as yourself and not trying to emulate others, or just not being true to yourself in your leadership?
If I can chime in, I think what came to mind was to first learn the lay of the land. Don't come in trying to be someone who you're not. If you're not ready in that point in time, get ready. Right? Don't allow people to um, persuade you or navigate you into areas in which you're not ready for. What happens in those instances is that they are molding you into something different than whom you are, right? And so if you're a beginning leader, what you have to do is you have to learn the lay of the land. You have to sit out as an observer more than a participant. Where a lot of times we're participating and we're trying to observe. You have to really observe the lay of the land first. Get familiar with it. Do the studying. Get invested. Learn everything you can learn. Take the time to learn it. Get that first. That's your foundation in leadership, is being the source of knowledge, all right? Knowing what you're supposed to know. And then that's going to help you to be a better leader. Because if you don't know anything and you're trying to be somebody that you don't know anything, that's going to really bite you in the butt. You're going to be trying to be this guy that you're trying to emulate, but then you don't know anything. This guy knows everything. He's been everything. He's got it. You're trying to emulate. So what you have to do is you got to learn first. If I can't say anything, you got to learn first. And after I say you have to learn first, you have to be a leader that leads by doing and not leads by delegating. That switches when you have more time on your experience level. When you first start on leadership, you need to be a leader that also does, not just delegates, okay? Because you continue to learn what the staff is doing and what you need to know. So those would be the two. Get girded up in all of the knowledge that you need, and then once you've girded up in the knowledge that you need, don't be a delegator initially, be a doer, all right? And the third thing is if you do these 2 things, you get the buy-in from your staff, and the staff will respect you, the staff will be they'll follow you wherever you wanna go because they know that you're done these 2 things. Does that make sense, guys? That's where I come from.
No, that's I appreciate it. No, how what do you want to cover?
Yes. Agree. Being humble lets you make mistakes, and that mistakes you'll learn from.
Yeah. Like the mistakes we make in this show and continue to get better.
Yeah, make mistakes and learn from it, and don't let them mistakes define you.
But no, I just want to thank you very much for being our first guest,
I
and
love
we,
this. It's been so much fun.
always love chatting, and we just want to kind of any listeners that have had a time where they felt they hid themselves and weren't leading authentically, we'd love to hear about it. If you can, drop a note, let us know, give us any ideas on future topics to speak on. And Ernie and I will be back next week with a new conversation to tackle. Thank you very much.
Thank you. You well. Thank you. You as well. And don't forget, leading ain't easy.
Yeah, you did. Thanks for tuning in to Leading Ain't Easy. If something in today's episode resonated, please do us a favor and share it with someone else who leads or aspires to lead. Because honestly, none of us have this figured out, but we can all get better together. If you're a leader or professional feeling quietly stuck in your career, visit reframerise.com. It's a career and leadership coaching firm where I work with veterans and other high achievers to realign their work and lead with purpose. Again, that's reframerise.com. And if you're looking for leadership tools, training, or support for your transportation department, check out Bus Pro Network, where Ernie helps school transportation leaders across California build safer, stronger teams. Please subscribe wherever you listen, leave a review, and let us know what topics you'd like us to tackle in the future. And remember, leading ain't easy, but you don't have to do it alone.